Hello. This presentation is highlighting tick safety in Massachusetts and specifically how to prevent ticks and tick bites, how to recognize the different species, and how to recognize disease and if you should go see a doctor or not. So just a quick introduction. My name is Kelly. I'm pursuing my Master of Public Health degree. My background is laboratory medicine, more specifically microbiology, which deals with infectious diseases. And personally, I happen to have a very extensive knowledge of parasitology. So, ticks and tick safety and tick-borne diseases are something that I feel very, very strongly about. But more importantly than who I am, it's who you are. So if you're listening to this presentation, chances are you're in the Metro Boston area, specifically Avon, Massachusetts. And a lot of people, based on a survey that was put out on the town website and Facebook page, is a lot of people have just moved here from other towns. And a lot of people have also spent years or decades here. So a lot of New Englanders hanging out in this area, and you all like to do different outdoor activities. A lot of people like walking and gardening and landscaping and playing with their pets and bicycling and swimming. And generally, everyone just likes being outside if it's nice out. A lot of people do have pets. Most people did respond that they keep their pets inside, but for people that let their pets go outside, we want to make sure those pets are safe as well. But the common thread to everyone and all their differences is that by being outside, you are potentially exposed to insects that carry disease. So, now that we have this COVID pandemic going on and everyone's encouraged to do as much social distancing as possible, stay away from other people, stay at your own house, self quarantine, self isolate, a lot of people are doing outdoor activities that are more solitary. So you're going for neighborhood walks, maybe a trail run, maybe you go walking up Blue Hills. And unfortunately, there's no such thing as tick season. Unlike mosquitoes that die in the winter, ticks are actually present year round. We notice ticks more in the spring and summer because we go outside and we're exposed to them more, but they are around during every season. So just be mindful of that as we're going through the different methods that you can protect yourself from tick bites. So the different ticks in New England. Um, to me, these are pretty scary because they can transmit a lot more diseases than mosquitoes can. Uh, Anaplasmosis, Babesia, Lyme disease, tularemia, and Powassan are actually only a handful of the diseases that can be found in Massachusetts. I highlighted these ones because they are the most common, and they are caused by different things. For example, Lyme disease and tularemia are both bacteria, whereas Powassan is a virus, and Babesia is actually a type of parasite that lives inside your blood cells. So, a bunch of different types of pathogens, of disease causing agents. And because there are lots of different causes, these diseases, some of them can be transmitted in a few hours, some take almost an entire day. Powassan virus only takes 15 minutes of a tick bite to be transmitted. So, because of all these different time frames of when a disease can be transferred into your body, the best way to protect yourself is to prevent a tick bite in the first place. So, I'm going to highlight a few different ways you can spruce up your personal property to reduce the number of ticks, and also how to protect your own body. So, ticks they need to be on an animal and feeding. So, anywhere there's an animal is where you're going to find ticks. So here's an example of a very cleanly kept yard, um, nicely landscaped. So we've got that nice rock wall and a nice lush lawn. On top of the rock wall, all those shrub bushes that are well shaded with lots of nice mulch around it. That's actually an example of a place where you can find ticks. They like to be underneath bushes. because rabbits and mice and other rodents are going to hide under those bushes. So anywhere a tick is likely to encounter an animal, it's going to sit and wait. So under shrubbery is one prime spot. A few other places in this yard, you can see a wood pile on the right. That's a nice place for mice and rodents to hide and nest also, is all those crevices between the pieces of wood. You also have that pine tree that has some low-hanging branches. So animals that are a bit larger, such as coyotes or deer, can walk by that and brush against the lower branches. So ticks like to be on the bottom of those trees, the branches that hang out. And on the very lower left, you can see a raised garden bed, or what's the start of a garden. And as any gardener knows, that animals love to come and nibble, such as deer and rabbits. So anytime you've got something that's going to attract animals to your property is a time that you're going to see increased tick activity. So to get a not necessarily tick-less yard, but as few ticks as possible, you want to make sure your grass is short and that shrubbery is trimmed back. It's nice and neat, and there aren't a lot of hiding spots for animals to hang out. If you have a wood stack, put it up on pallets or crates so that air can circulate underneath. Granted, mice will get in wherever they want to, as some of us have unfortunately experienced, but at least if it's raised up, it will make it a little bit harder and there will be a couple less mice. If you have a stone wall, just make sure any big cracks and crevices are filled up. So maybe fill it up with cement or smaller rocks or something to make it not as easy for mice to run in there. Any leaf piles you want to make sure you rake up. Cut back any branches that are hanging pretty low over your yard. And any other methods you can think of to prevent animals. For example, if you have a garden, like some mesh netting over it to prevent animals from coming and feeding frequently. So all these things together, no one item is going to be a magic cure to ticks in your property, but all these things do add up, and when you take a bunch of pieces and add them up, you are going to see a greatly reduced number of ticks. So this is at least how to reduce the numbers around, but how to protect yourself if you're going to go outside, maybe go for a hike in the woods. There's a lot of different products. I'm going to highlight just two different types of repellents. Nantucket spider, it doesn't protect against spiders. It's just because spiders kill insects, so it's a cute name. Their products are essential oil based, which means it's safe to put on your skin. You don't get any greasy residue. Just be mindful that because it is essential oils, some people have sensitivities or allergies to different oils. So just be sure to read the ingredients really carefully. They do have different products just for pets, and is recommended for park rangers, the specific line. The downside to Nantucket spider or any essential oil-based product is that different insects are repelled by different oils. So something that works for ticks is not going to work for mosquitoes or for sandflies or for other types of insects. So that is one downside. If you want to protect against multiple insects, a product that has DEET is going to repel both ticks and mosquitoes. The downside is it has that residue that you would think of when you think of some sort of insect repellent. It kind of makes your skin sticky, so you do need to wash it off later with soap and water. I highlighted Ben's just because this product specifically is recommended by the CDC. I've used both essential oil type things and DEET type things, and as long as you're vigilant about application and following instructions, they both work really well. So it's just personal preference which one you want to use. Now let's say you've stacked up the wood pile on crates and you've trimmed back your shrubs and you sprayed yourself when you went out for your hike, but you missed a spot and you found a tick on you. I do not think you're going to come back to this presentation to identify all these ticks. So I'm going to go over the different species a little bit, as well as what resource you can use when you're out on your own. So This page just shows all the different species that could be found in Massachusetts. There are a handful, but the black-legged tick, the lone star tick, and the dog tick are the three most common. So the lone star tick is on the bottom. It has a very distinctive mark on its back. On the left, on someone's fingernail, you can see a deer tick, and you can see just how tiny those are because the one on the left is an adult and the one on the right is a nymph. And the larvae of deer ticks are the size of a poppy seed. So these are incredibly hard to see. So anytime you come back inside, you want to be looking at your skin, looking to see for any types of ticks. They like to hang out in little crevices of your body because they're least likely to be disturbed there. So think the inside of your elbow, the back of your knee. If you went by a tree branch, it might be like behind your ear or like in your armpit. So be extra careful in checking those spots. The photo that's in the top center that says male and female, those are dog ticks, and they're about the size of a tic tac, the large adult ones. So those are easier to spot. But then again, a tic tac is still a small thing compared to the entire human body. So make sure you have some sort of like full length mirror or a few handheld mirrors so you can kind of move it around your body and look very carefully for any type of tick on you. Now, if you do get a tick on you, different species carry different diseases. So the disease that is in a deer tick is not going to be the same disease as in a dog tick. So what to do if you want to find out what type of tick is on you, because you can't remember this presentation weeks from now when you're outside on your hike on Blue Hills. I highly, highly recommend this app called What's My Tick. It costs $1.99. It's a one-time purchase, no subscription fee or anything. And when you purchase it, when you pull it up, the screen that you get, this is a screenshot that I took, you'll see down here on the bottom, there's a few different options. You want to click on the camera that says identify, and you can either use a photo of a tick that you found earlier, or you can activate your camera, but whichever one you choose, you have your tick photo. I took this off the CDC website. This is an adult female deer tick. So you select your photo and press OK, and it's going to tell you the most likely tick is this one. The second most likely tick is this one, based on a lot of different features, coloring, structure, mouth parts, etc. So once you select your tick, it's going to show you a photo, and you say, yeah, that looks like the one that I found. So it will give you a blurb about the tick, where in the states it's found. Like in this case, you can see that a deer tick is found all over the country. A little bit about the life cycle, but the most important part is that it's going to tell you your risk of different infections. You'll see some things like Ehrlichia is a very low risk, whereas Lyme disease is a very high risk. Babesia is moderate. So it's going to give a list of the most common diseases found in the tick that you found. The one part I don't like about this app is it says if this tick has been on you or a pet for longer than 24 hours, consider having it tested. Please disregard that because some of these diseases are transmitted in much, much less than 24 hours. So the most important part is that you prevent against the tick bite. If you do get a tick, you want to be able to identify it so you can see if it has a high likelihood of one of these diseases. That being said, it is very rare to get some of these diseases, but the best thing to do would be to keep the tick just in case you need to get it tested. So when to see a doctor is anytime a tick has already started feeding. That does not mean every single time you get a tick, you go running to the doctor. Sometimes you see a rash in Lyme disease and anaplasma, but not always. But anytime you have fever and fatigue that you just cannot explain any other way, you should go see a doctor and ask for a tick-borne panel because you want to test against more than just Lyme disease. You want to test against all diseases. Most tick-borne diseases can be treated with antibiotics, so that is a plus. Here's a couple websites just for further reading. And thank you.